For the next 2 decades may be a period of chaos. And I'll tell you why and what you can do about it. The world may be in a period of chaos for the coming decades for two reasons. And before I continue, let me explain a few things. What I mean by chaos is a period of frequent, uncontrollable, or massive protests, strikes, or lawlessness. This means attacks, intense debates, fallouts between allies or friends, online or physically, or no cooperation between parties. And chaos is a period of sorting out issues, of venting grievances, and of hopefully finding the sweet spot between order and disorder. And this takes more than a decade to allow all of these to pan out. But what it means to our personal finances is the uncontrolled increase of prices of goods. Prices will go up and up because chaos disrupts work, delivery of goods, and the pathways that are choked add more fees and charges. Disorder slows down businesses, investments, tourism, among others, therefore, slow growth and production. So, here is the first reason and the practical ways that you can do about it. The global economy has been building up to a global economic heartbreak. This heartbreak comes from the illumination that the economy, global or local, is not getting better. Nations and the masses are realizing and waking up to the reality that the economy is heading south in spite of their efforts, their cooperation, their trust, or their tolerance. It is a painful betrayal of this contract of cooperation between and among the leaders and their constituents. And it looks like only one side is fulfilling its part, like paying taxes for the country's consumption. And what's worse is that the burden of economic decline is something one party, the masses, is not excluded to bear. This heartbreak comes from realizing that governments, institutions, or leaders have been self serving about their decisions and their service. The service of officials is tainted with political ambitions, intentions, and personal interests in order to stay in power. This heartbreak aches in protests from suspicions of corruption and the economic inequality which we are seeing now in Indonesia, in Nepal, in the Philippines, in Japan at this time of publishing. The heartbreak comes from the realization that some nations and the masses have been building their domestic economy alone and not with the assistance of their governments and institutions who are busy filling their own pockets or polishing their re election image. Aside from corruption, the debt problems of countries are also dealt unscrupulously. They are allowing it to balloon boundlessly, like paying debt with unlimited credit cards. They borrow an amount they are incapable of paying for in terms of fiscal revenues, thereby allowing the false prosperity to go on. They want to outsmart the system and keep the leaders in power in shiny robes. The ploy to outsmart the monetary system distorts the very fabric of the monetary system, where unmanaged debts should be penalized and not rewarded. Outsmarting the system trivializes efforts, discipline, and risk management. The heartbroken masses dwell in the shambles of high prices or dwell to make the responsible accountable or dwell to fight for justice. This sense of betrayal forces them to speak up, hold strikes. Protests ache of the pain of shattered hopes for their children because hope was not supported all along. Social media platforms hold all resentments, the rage, the loaded statements. It is indeed disorienting and disheartening to have to keep up with the distorted rules of the land where debtors get away with obligations or officials looking out only for their own. To cope with this distortion leaves people confused. Should we pay taxes? Should we still hold elections? Cooperation or compromise become difficult. Meanwhile, the masses budget for food, rent, bills decrease as prices of goods increase because of the chaos. Savings and income do not catch up with the high prices. The disillusion and heartbreak and rage lead to neglect of financial security. The heartbreak competes with solutions for their own financial situations. This is not to say that accountability of leaders or officials should not be pursued. This should be, but not at the cost of your financial security, because inflation can be unforgiving. Inflation is merciless. And in a web of personal interests, of lies, cover ups of governments, just do not expect full or fast accountability and justice. What you can do in the practical or mundane level is let your grievance sharpen your radar for red flags, such as someone promising to pay a huge loan on a small income and a lavish lifestyle. In terms of personal situations, address matters head on. Ask for clarifications to things that smell fishy or walk away. Keep receipts so you can defend yourself with proof. Document transactions, ask for proofs, return items that do not deliver what they promise to do. What you can also do is raise your bar of confidence. Elect officials with only so high a trust rate in terms of integrity, accountability, mature skills, and practical knowledge. And if they are not elected, prepare. In terms of personal finances, invest only in high odds of success, so potential loss or being scammed is small, at least 75%, because no one or nothing is really perfect. Do this even with the things you buy or with the people you transact with. If something even screams doubt, walk away, even if you may be wrong. Habituate trusting your standards over outcomes. Outcomes are unreliable, but a high bar means trustworthy, reliable patterns that will serve you long term. Raising your standards give huge allowance for unexpected events to affect your life or your capital or your goals, such as investing in rental properties or lands or private equities that have a very good location for commerce from floods, have durable structure, good traffic, less operational expenses, excellent financial management, and a relatively low price. This may be small acts in your small world, but these have ripple effects. These improve your situations and the people you interact with and the people that they interact with, and so forth and so on. It may be ideal to make corrupt officials accountable or unscrupulous maneuvers fail, but this takes time. Lies and the cover ups in the web get in the way. Again, meanwhile, you would be abandoning your finances that might not catch up with inflated prices. Protests may work, but they can be complicated and dangerous. Modeling, on the other hand, is a powerful way to affect behavioral and consistent change because it forms habits and it is visual, and especially if it doesn't cause internal or external conflict. Or perhaps vigilance and modeling can be good too. Furthermore, you may think that you have been disadvantaged by corruption because you have been earning a living with integrity, applying your skills, disciplining yourself in expenditures. Perhaps in terms of possession, you have been disadvantaged. But a bad conscience of corruption is hard to live with. It physically eats up what is healthy. It endures sleeplessness and nightmares. And it only builds fake and unhealthy relationships. It is also in a habit of always looking over their shoulders, paranoid of discovery. A bad conscience is corrosive. By outsmarting the monetary system, the huge drawback is that they are not learning or practicing debt or risk management, and personally, not practicing discipline, accountability, because they don't have to. Externally, trust on the system erodes. Essentially, who would want to do business with someone who bends rules, right? So, in this ploy of diluting the monetary system, the currency exchange is likely to alter into a whole new ball game. Alternatives to get out of the system where debt cannot be manipulated, such as cryptocurrency, gold, and silver, may be seen as hedges against a ploy like this. In fact, these alternative currencies are getting alarmingly and auspiciously prominent in the currency department. But debt and risk management, discipline, accountability, integrity are ingredients of trust and reliability. These attract stable partnerships, business and investment opportunities. They attract trust and confidence, therefore, wealth. Anything else invites only short term opportunities and even exploitation. So there is even no need for revenge or accountability. And I know this is hard to swallow because they enjoy prosperity even if this is fake by outsmarting the system. But if you cannot see fairness around you, make things fair for yourself. Because the truth is that you and your situation are the only things you can control. You can make things fair for yourself by engaging in places where you are rewarded appropriately, like trading or investing in stocks, forex, derivatives, real estate that require risk management, or getting a job that values or rewards exceptional skills and integrated knowledge, among others. Likewise, support the people who work well for you to grow financially or in skills or knowledge. Honor or reward their contribution. Again, this sends ripples of change like stone thrown in water. When it comes to broken dreams or betrayal from corruption, if you are going to grieve a heartbreak, let it be about something you lost because it is worthwhile. It is something you could have evolved or grown from, something you could have enriched you, expanded you personally or financially. Strengthen your mind to not submit to self pity over the betrayal of corruption that is, in the first place, already a poison in itself. Feeling robbed or cheated off your dreams and financial growth in corruption or shrewd debt management is not worth your grief. Build or continue to build your finances that is solid even around corruption. Build your finances by having an emergency fund, by increasing your income, and by investing your money to grow with inflation, with accountability and integrity. A life with corruption, manipulation is definitely not better off than one with a solid financial foundation. Here are some ideas for your emergency fund, side hustles, and assets for investments. Another reason for 2 decades of chaos is the quest for truth or order or rule of law. Chaos is also caused by the lack of agreement within Congress, within institutions, among world leaders of how things should be done, what's the truth, differences of principles, beliefs, opinions are healthy to an extent. They encourage self check and self reflection, but to leave them untied, unresolved, ego driven causes a stalemate. And differences slow down economic and domestic growth, decrease job availability, therefore increase prices of goods. Differences are shown in war or territorial issues, war negotiation styles, and lives and livelihoods have already been lost in huge scales. And yet, after years, wars have not ended and conflicts are still threatening to erupt. There are also disagreements about dealing with huge debts, deficits, small growth within Congress, Senate, within NATO, among world leaders. Disagreements among social media content creators, racial and gender issues dominate public platforms. Heated debates turn friends into foes and foes into allies. Divisions widen, leaders are under constant scrutiny, so no resolution doesn't get attacked. No policy gets traction because each party refuses to negotiate or compromise. Polarization or setting new camps may work, but this alters the normal pipelines. Installation of other infrastructure or system takes time to build and get used to. And even after, it would still be on a trial run. So, as the world sets up camps, figures out what is the best way to go, what is the right way to go, it shall build, then dismantle, build again, then dismantle for decades until the whole world finds a sweet spot to agree on or get exhausted from the fight. Again, this slows down growth and raises the prices of goods. Meanwhile, In personal situations, savings dwindle, available jobs become scarce, the need to correct, to preach become obsession, a fixation, while no progress is made for financial security in the global stage as well as in households. It is indeed confusing and frustrating to be surrounded by conflicting parties or new rules or systems. However, when it comes to personal finances, to allow chaos impedes good financial decisions and strategies. So, what you can do is get out of the noise, get out of the conflict. In terms of finances, find assets, jobs, or businesses that are not caught up in the crossfire. Assets, jobs, businesses that are still needed, whether there is peace or disorder. For example, perhaps investing in relevant resources such as agriculture, manufacturing, commodities, defensive stocks, precious metals, and minerals. Or take courses or build your skills or knowledge base that you may or not necessarily enjoy, but you are naturally good at. For example, skills or knowledge base that are alchemize these resources in times of order or disorder. For example, farming, engineering, training, and education. You can also set up your finances in a way that it is not mired or does not hinge on policy changes or changing regimes or single geography. For example, perhaps take your savings out of the bank except for your emergency fund. Savings in the bank puts it under shared authority with the bank, meaning the bank can dictate when or how much you can withdraw, where you can spend your savings on, and perhaps what form the institution chooses, whether physical or digital cash. Use your savings to take courses to advance your career or to invest in tangible assets such as collectibles, paintings that you might know very well, or rental properties that are always needed in societies and that are always independent of what happens in Congress and central banks. Also, you can diversify your portfolio into a spread of geography that is not dependent on the growth or decline the policies of just one country. When it comes to what's right or wrong, if you have to share or assert your thoughts, express it as your own, therefore, in a calm and a humble manner, whether right or wrong to them, it's yours. Sharing your opinions, your perspective does not have to gather agreement, does not have to prove you are smart or right. But sharing or asserting yours does not have to disallow you from expressing what you think either. Share your ideas in an effort to be authentic, not to be the authority of what's right or what works. There may be disagreement this way, but at least it opens space for dialogue and it opens space for a degree of respect. But to dictate, to impose beliefs and ideology triggers conflict and blocks fruitful resolution. In heated environment with tunnel vision, discussion can just be a waste of time and energy. And time and energy are precious and limited resources. In a period of time where the purchasing power of your savings is eroding, you might want to spend these by educating yourself, building your skills and knowledge base, strategizing about your investments, building your physical and mental fitness, which are crucial in good decision making, instead of giving permission for others in echo chambers to drain your time and energy. Let this time of chaos push you to discover, enhance, and even crystallize your natural abilities, and at the same time help you secure yourself financially, because chaos may take a while. And this is not to say that the truth or the right path isn't ideal and should not be pursued. This is not to say that people should be left in the dark or be abandoned in lies or error, but discerning whether this can be achievable due to slow pace, personal interests, echo chamberness is realistic and practical. People cannot be controlled. They will still think what they want to think. And freezing time until they see your point would cost you your personal growth, at the same time your financial security. Because a good business opportunity may come up, but you may be too busy to prove yourself right among stubborn minds, while prices become absurdly unaffordable. A market crash or a job opening may just be around the corner for you to jump in, but you may be too busy arguing with a coworker who is not going to give you a job if you lose it. Megaphoning what is right in some cases may be at the cost of your survival. So, we are at the precipice of decades of chaos, of lawlessness, due to the frustration about self serving governments and authorities, and due to parties in conflict about what is true, what is right, what should be the rule of law. And while the whole world vents or seeks accountability, and while the truth, the right way to go are being sorted, cooperation or compromise become less possible. Meanwhile, the global economy declines because of riots or uprisings that disrupt production, therefore less jobs, and because of irreconcilable differences and new systems that would be on constant revision. Prices go up and up as a consequence. So, coping financially in this period of chaos is going to be a challenge. What can be done is to find jobs, businesses, and investments that are relevant and are out of the crossfire, out of the system. What can be done too is to raise the bar of confidence and to sharpen the radar for distrustful operations, and building finances in a solid foundation of integrity and high value skill and knowledge.